Hey everybody, it's Lisa F. Miller here. How are you? Just had a couple of technical issues with the live, so going live now. And I'm going to invite on Kelly D Pinto, an amazing friend of mine, but started off as a friend, and then I actually worked for her, and then she became my client. So we've had an amazing few years together. So Kels, can you see any button there? I'm adding you now. Connecting. Way, hey,
Yay!
finally. So sorry. It's just this technology sometimes, isn't it?
It's crazy, but it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, the button came up, so okay. So thank you for coming on today.
You're welcome. Love to.
Yeah, brilliant. So I'm just going to introduce you first, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, and you can just go for whatever you want to say as well. So Kelly
Cool.
DePinto, I've known probably 5 or 6 years. I met you through our daughters who are best buddies, and then we became best buddies. And over this last few years, I've worked for you, and then you ended up working with me coaching you. So I just want to talk a little bit about where you were when I first met you 5 years ago. Incredibly successful, kind, loving person with a beautiful family, and what looked like a really successful life from the outside. And it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It looked like
Yeah.
all red roses from the outside. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you live in a beautiful, where I live as well. We have this beautiful environment, nature, and you've got the most loving, warm family. And you have to be one of the most generous, kind people I have ever met. And so,
Thank you.
and 5 years ago, you were that too. And you actually internationally recognized in the network marketing business you do as well. So you're incredibly successful on paper as well as in your private life. However, when we look back to 4 or 5 years ago, there was other stuff going on, right? And would you like to have a little chat about, without going into some of the details, but would you like to have a little chat about where you were 4 or 5 years ago?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I I think now that I reflect back, I look at everything that's happened in the past as being absolutely what it was meant to be,
Yeah,
and to get me to where I am today. Um, yeah, back then I was married, in a marriage for 23 years, and well, not then, but yeah, close on 20. Three beautiful kids, and my youngest girl's got Down, so we've had challenges along the way as well, but and that's why I got into the network marketing side of things, because I found products that were really helping her. So yeah, and it just grew from there. I love communicating with people. I love kind of business frame suited me so well, and it took off really, really well. And it took off pretty fast actually. So there was a lot of, I guess, what I would have seen back then as pressure, and lots of different personality types as well. So there was a lot going on in my business, but from the outside, everything looked red roses. Husband, three kids. The whole thing. But yeah, there was a lot of unhappiness really, in my personal with my hubby at the time, and yeah, it was very interesting times trying to balance the whole thing. But we put on a brave smile, and we do what we do. Lucky, I did love, and I do love my work, because I get to really help other people, and that's where I really really love what I really love doing. But yeah, it was interesting when I really became friends with you, Leith, and it was at a time where my business was at its, like, it had just exploded really, and there was a lot of different personalities in my team that yeah was very interesting at the time. I just felt like I was just 24 hours 7 days a week. It
mm,
was, yes, successful, but you know time is a very very precious thing, and there wasn't much of that. Even before this had happened, there was a lot of escalating between my husband and myself. So yeah, it was just a time when you came in, and I believe everything timing is, at the right time. You came along to help me with my business, But then, yeah, like you said, it switched where I was looking at you, Lise, and what you were going through and thinking, wow, just your tools, how you practiced your tools, you talked about your tools, and you were actually doing it, and I could see what you were going through, that I could use some of that. So I'm so grateful and thankful that you came into my life, because it has really changed so much for me. I did leave my marriage just over a year in April last year, and again, I'm thankful for every part of him, and you know, our beautiful kids. But to actually be living the life that I'm living now, and with lots of joy, peace, calm, not in this frazzled state that I was in all the time, not that I'd ever admit it, but yeah, it's a different way of being right now, and everything is in way more flow. It's amazing. Your tools, I've spent thousands of dollars, I mean thousands of dollars, on different coaches, different mentors, looking for the thing that's really going to help change, yeah, just help really with everything. And I'd say, you know, I've said it many times, is that your tools have been the tools that have really made a huge difference in my life and everyone around me. So I thank you for that.
Wow. Oh, look, my absolute pleasure. So just to go back, for me, seeing your journey, when I was working with you and we were hanging out and things like that, there was never enough time, right? You were working, like we'd be messaging each other at midnight. You were constantly working. You were never putting time ever into you. Like you never just went off for a walk to the beach or,
No.
you know, time for school stuff with the kids that time, was there? Because what do you think was going on? Do you think it was a limiting point of view about you had to do more? Because that's what I always got the sense of, that you have to do more, you've got to be more, you've got to keep going, and that force energy.
Yeah, and it was, you know, it's great to be giving and be kind and all that, but there was none of that for myself. I
No.
totally, you know, it's so different now. So I always thought there was no time left for me, because I had so many other people to look after. There was, you know, my kids, you know, there was my team that were very, you know, yeah, there was a lot of questions, a lot of things that they needed, and I never thought that I could just go, right, this is my time. And I was just always, I guess, of service. I just felt like I just had to be of service all the time, and I'll be fine. I'll be fine, because yes, I enjoy doing it. But what I found was, yeah, just everything. Yeah, it was just it was a really, really hard time at one stage. Just trying to
Over,
keep up with it. Overwhelming, yeah.
over.
Very, very overwhelming.
And you were living inside your head, like you were listening to your inner
Oh,
thoughts, you were listening to your critic. You had it that was the true reality for you, was I've got to do more, I've got to be more, I've got
well,
to serve more. Yeah.
absolutely. I've got to work hard, right? So that whole
Work.
mentality of I have to work hard for this to be successful. You know, I have
Yeah.
to do this. There were so many shoulds, and I think you probably heard me say should like every half an hour. I should be doing this.
Good.
I should be, you know, more of the shooting all over myself. I should be doing this. I
Yeah,
should be
yeah.
doing that. You know, I should. And then I was really, you know, going, oh gosh, I don't exercise, and now I've put on weight, and I was like, all about. There was, yeah, I was successful in so many ways, but I felt unsuccessful. I guess within myself, because there was just, I thought, gosh, there's just never time to do everything that I need to be doing for me to feel, you know, my best.
So you didn't have that self-gratitude, you didn't have that
No.
self-trust. You're constantly out there serving others and thinking, how can I do more, and where am I going to get these resources from, and where am I going to get the time from and the energy to.
Mm.
There wasn't the self-gratitude or the self-trust. So you're looking outside of you for making decisions, weren't you? More like worrying
Yeah,
about what other people think about your decisions, and looking
yeah,
outside of you gratitude, and when you don't get it from other people because they don't have it for themselves, it's a very, very lonely place, isn't it, Cows?
It sure is, and even if I did something, I felt like there was more that I should be doing. You know, it's like, okay, I've done that
Mm,
now, and it was always like, okay, what's next? What's
mm,
next? What's next? And yeah, it wasn't even when I was, doing, because I did spend a lot of time on self development and all that kind of stuff,
yeah,
but in a totally different way. It was like I was writing these affirmations. I am going to be. I am. So it was all where I'd write them and I'd say them to myself, and I'd be looking in the mirror saying these things and thinking, what a load of BS, really. But I'll keep saying it because I might be able to bring it into,
into
there
being.
was no, yeah, into being, and there was no, I wasn't journaling then, and it was, there was, just never kind of just sat down to take the time to go, shit, look at your business, look what you've, there was none of that, no gratitude anywhere.
Gratitude, yeah.
Mm,
What
mm,
turning point for you was, and what was probably, I know we spent a lot of time together, so you were listening to what I was doing in my own life and the tools I was using in my own stuff that was going on. There's some pretty tricky times you saw me go through, right? And
yeah.
saw that I had ease with some of it. But what do you think was the turning point for you? What was the sort of first tools you used that you went, whoa, this is a game changer for me?
Um, Journaling would
Yeah,
be the thing, and the other one that really stuck out for me, and what you were using when there was stuff kind of coming at you, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, how do you handle it? And it was all that, you know just sending it back. So sending it back
yeah,
with love, because there was a lot of projection. Whereas now, it's completely different how I look at it now. But then I just felt like it was a lot of stuff coming at me, and I just say, all right, that's not my stuff, and I'd have to, and I started learning that was actually, is that my stuff? It's not really. It's not my stuff, and it's not my responsibility to fix it.
mm.
Whereas before, I had to fix everything. I was like a fixer. I just wanted to fix everybody, and I was putting everything else that really needed some attention um, on the back burner, because I was like, oh yeah, I really want to help you build your business. I really want to help you with this or whatever it was, and I was always there for everyone else but myself. So
And I just, yeah, that's a great point what you said about the returning, because literally people, what we do is because we have a subconscious pattern, we think it's all our stuff and we've got to fix it and we've got to sort it. And I was a fixer sorter as well, and I was the only girl with three brothers, so I fixed my parents when they were sick and dying, and I was fixing everything, right? Trying to fix
yeah,
my marriage, my kids as well. You've seen that, Cows.
yeah,
So, and what we do is we take on board stuff that isn't ours, right? We take on board responsibility, number one, and we actually go into control mode, number two, don't we? We're like, well, I've got to control it, and I can't control it. These people are acting a
mm,
certain way, and I can't. But then we're also sensing their stuff because we're so empathic. We're sensing their stuff,
yeah,
and that's what, if you want to look at it's called the quantum field and the quantum entanglements. But if you're empathic like Cows and I, you're sensing other people's stuff. You walk in the room, you feel the stuff, then you start to drop your energy and vibration, and you're like, I'm low, I'm angry, I'm whatever.
mm,
Is this really mine? And once you started to
yeah,
ask, is this really my responsibility? I saw this weight start to lift off you. And over time, it like
yeah,
was
yeah,
90% of this weight lifted, didn't it?
huge, yeah, huge. And back then when I was in that whole want to fix it, without having the tools that I've got now, I went into a lot of feeling sorry for them. So you'd kind of like, and you weren't really I wasn't really I was thinking I'm helping, but I wasn't really helping because I was coming from a place of, oh, you poor thing, whereas now when I help, but when someone's offloading or whatever else to me now, it's like, all right, I've just so learned that we, you know, we can change things like right here, right now, from this time, forward, instead of like talking, which I used to talk about all the time, was past. So now when I
Mm.
do talk with people, it's like, all right, okay, that's just it. Yeah, okay. What can we do? You know, and that's where I
Just
love the
lost it.
moonscaping and all that for people to, yeah, to not wallow in what it is right now. And whenever people are complaining or whatever it is now, I find it's always pasta.
Yes, yes.
And it's
And
like, okay, are you ready to make a change? And I don't go into feeling like going into that sorriness for people now. I mean, of course there are things that happen and
yes.
that, but it's like I go into more into possibility all the time now,
Mm.
which is really exciting to be. And some people, yeah, either they're open to it or they're just like, I want to stay here. And
Yes.
if they
Yes.
want to stay here, then and now I've actually even leveled up even more to go, oh, okay, that's where they're at. Okay, I'll send that back, and that's where they're at. They know where I am, but I'm not getting pulled back into that because I'm
No.
living a different, yeah, completely different way now.
And what I'm hearing there is, and at the moment, particularly with what's going on around us, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of points of views, and they're very strong. Either side of
Huge.
it, and I don't sit either side of it, but there's a lot of strong points of views, right? You have to find your own lane, be the boss of your backyard. So what you did over
Yeah.
time by using some tools is you started to see what was definitely not you and not for you. That's not mine, and that's not for me either. I don't want to go into anger and rage at the whole planet, whatever that is
Yeah.
in our lives. But also, this is my reality, and this is what I'm creating. And you already had created the most amazing life. Like, what a beautiful life you have.
Mm-hmm.
But that's up level because now you don't allow anyone to come in and knock you out of that reality either, do you? Your own beautiful life and what you have for you and what you want for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly right. And bye, my career and my friend. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. And it's I kind of got to that. Bye. I got to that point now. Where it's just so different. I just think, gosh, things have changed so much from like even 2 years ago, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, and 2 years ago I would have gone with what's going on around the world. I would have gone, oh my gosh, and you know, and I'd be just going down, you know, trying to research everything and going into and then putting my point across and you know, arguing with people what they believe, and you know, they should be kind of, you know, on this side of the fence. And now I'm just like, okay, the best thing we can be right now is be a really great vibration, a bit like, you know, bring ourselves up. um well, yeah, because
Because
it's all around us.
and like you say, cows, we live in a when we're born in a very high frequency. We're born pretty happy, most kids, unless they're not well, right? They get what they want, they're out there, they're playing, they're having fun, and then we're trained into the polarity of the brain, that the brain is the place to create. So then you're either for something, against something. You love something, you hate something. This is right for you, this is wrong for you. But the tools that I've been working with show you that that doesn't have to be right. You don't have to be in your brain thinking things
No.
through. You can actually access your deep knowing in a way that has you stay you, and you can still be friends with other people that don't do this because you don't have to react
Yeah.
and to where they're at, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that whole react is like, I used to react, you know, everything I'd be like, now I'm just, yeah, I just kind of just, where do I sit with this? And if I don't agree, and I love it, and I've learnt this line from you all the time, is that's an interesting point of view. And I can look at that now, and I love that word data too. It's like, that's their data, that's okay. So I just, yeah, heck, you know, there's still things that come up for me and that, but I just think
A
I'm
huge
way more conscious now. It's like, if I hear myself say something about myself now, I'll know straight away and just go, sorry about that, you know, or whatever that is, because yeah, I can actually say now fully 100% that I love myself completely.
mm,
And you know, and yeah, and those things, you know, with achievements now, I don't go, oh no, whatever. I take it on, and you know, compliments, I love giving them and I love receiving, so I'm way more receiving now. um And yeah, it's just your tools honestly have honestly been so life-changing. I just, yeah, get quite teary all the time.
That's a good thing, eh? So I want to go back to
Oh
the
yeah.
I want to go back to the gifting and receiving because, of course, I get so gifted too by supporting you. It's been such a gift for me to see you and see your transformation. So let's talk about gifting and receiving. So what we do, is in the past, we are in our brains, we can't really receive because of points of views. We've been told it's vain to be a certain way or arrogant and don't a compliment.
Mm,
You shouldn't sort of compliment too much. And look at our beautiful children. We're always complimenting them and wanting them to step up and be in that energy. And yet we've been trained as in our generation to not do that, especially in NZ,
exactly.
called poppy
Yep.
syndrome. But I can honestly say to you something now and you receive it. So we're gifting, receiving people, and that's our energy. We're gifting an energy through our way of
Yeah.
being and our point of view creates an energy, and then we're receiving, and what we have is big barriers up to receiving, don't we? We have a word or a phrase we use or a point of view or subconscious pattern or something our parents can
Mm,
do to us that makes us
yeah.
think, well, no, I can't spend that money on me or whatever that is. So for you, has the questions been a great part of that, of shifting that receiving and opening
Oh,
up the brain
huge.
to be in a different way?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it because, as well, definitely, and I love it because it's actually easy. It's like, it's so
Yes.
easy. It's like we don't have to work it out. It's like we just ask the
No.
questions, and it's just incredible when you, yeah, when you do that. And I start um every day with questions, and I love it. It's and I think what I've learned too with your tools and that is that, life is it's just lighter. It's like there's more joy, there's more, um, it's kind of like that whole wonderment of like, what's today going to bring, and who's going to come across my path. And it's just like, abundance flows just in all different ways. And I expect that too now.
Yeah,
It's like, it's an expectation. And it's like, there's no need for it to be any different. There's enough for everybody.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I love it. I wake up just, yeah, loving the day and just so grateful, just so grateful for people in my life, for, just everything really. I just, yeah, it's just a wonderful way of being. And I love helping. I do love helping people in this way because I've had people come and just say, just do the whole spill. And then I sound like a little bit like Lisa. And I'm like, well, maybe you need to we'll ask some questions around that. What will it take? How does it get better?
Yeah,
Let's
but
not wallow in what's happening right now, and let's look at the alternative and see
yeah,
possibility out of this.
and
And I love being able. I'm so blessed to have learnt a lot from you. I'm still learning more and more, but learning a lot from you to be able to pass on, which
that's
is a
so
real, so cool.
because my thing has always been about someone passed the tool on, whether they got the tool, paid for the tool or not. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, like pass that on and let's multiply this joy and ease and
Yeah.
gratitude. So when you
Yeah.
talked about that light, the bang, and the questions, I just want to quickly explain if anyone's so questions rewire our brain. They take us out of the old subconscious pattern. And if we don't do that, if we go into conclusion, we just go down the old runway of the synaptic pathway. That takes us back to, I have to work hard. I'm not good enough. My parents said I can't do that, whatever that was. So when you ask a question like universe or whatever, surprise and delight me, like that's more of a request, but what would it take to have fun and ease today? Your brain starts to look and it can only see what you ask it to see. You have to
Mm,
train it out of the old patterns. We've got to train it to be looking for joy and ease because it's only been looking for lack. And why is that? Because we've been trained into lack. We've been trained into these things from conditioning outside of us. Now, that's no one's fault. But what you've done, Cows, if you've trained your brain to have a different bias. So it's now gone from a negative about you. You're a very grateful person, you always were, but you were more likely more negative about you and not grateful for you.
mm,
You've trained your brain into a bias of seeing gratitude for you and everything around you, right?
yeah.
And if
Yeah.
in any slight tiny way, you know you've got the tool to go, hang on a minute, that's not me. Bang.
Yeah.
Question,
Yeah.
I'll do some journaling, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's the story that started, and then you're back on track again. So it's quite a fast process now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And then when you get to that point where you just, yeah, just so grateful for everything, it's like you see more. It's like I felt before I was in just such a cloud. Like it was
Yes.
just like I never saw this. Honest, I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but I never saw the birds. I never really saw the sky. I never really saw much around me other than what was right in front of me.
Yeah.
And all I could see was what I should be doing. Which, it was always this constant brain thing going on. Whereas now I feel so awake. It's like I enjoy things I never did before, like the butterflies and the, like nature and and then I'm just so great. I can just be just doing gratitude all day for like, wow, we got that, happening. And oh, it's just, yeah, it
Yeah.
just brings in more and more.
I've I've seen that shift in you with the nature thing, because I've always had that nature thing. I don't think that's
Yeah.
gone for me. It never really went
Yeah.
for it. Did a little at the end of my marriage, but lost for you. But it was still there. There's that little girl inside. There's that little kid
Mm-mm.
inside who's wanting to be. We are that. We are the childlike being if we allow it.
Mm-mm.
And what happens is that keeps us in the fog of the old pattern that we don't remember being that child. We don't remember the joy of it anymore. We've lost that
Yeah.
capacity to tap into it. We've lost the capacity to know that we are nature and we are part of nature. And
Yeah.
when you get out of your brain and you don't rely on your brain to create your life, but you rely on digging deep and going back to who you truly are, then nature is right there, isn't it? It's there, you're with it, you're
Mhm.
part of it. And it's not just nature, it's everything. It's the
Yeah.
people around you, it's your
Yeah.
resources. You notice things around you like, oh, I didn't even think to ask that person about that. Then suddenly you ask them, and then suddenly they, hey, I've got that, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And what
It's awesome.
is infinite
Yeah.
resources and infinite time and infinite abundance if you get out of your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And there's time. I mean, there's plenty of time. And
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, I've got so much. I've got like it's so different now. It's like I have the time now. It's like if I feel like right now, if I feel like going, after this when I go for a walk, I will, and if it feels right, then I'll do it. And I love what I've learned too with you, that heavy and that light, um, for me is something, another tool that, I really think, do I really want to do that? Does it feel good? No, and now I'll go, no, I won't do it. Whereas before I was like, okay, I'm going to structure my day and I'm going to do emails, follow up, da 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 da. I had this list, I had my time frames on it and that, and I think, oh, I don't really want to do follow up, but I'd do it anyway, and it wouldn't
work.
the outcome
Yeah,
wasn't what I wanted. Now it's like,
yes,
that doesn't feel right now. Then later on it's like, oh, this would be a good time to ring, and the outcome is generally what I wanted, what I
yeah,
expected it to be. So it's
yes,
changed my business too, because I'm not chasing, or I have to do this, I've got to meet this requirement, like full on. Sometimes I go a little bit into that and then I go, oh, hang on a minute, it's fine. It'll
yeah.
everything always works out. And for me, that's my biggest mantra saying. I just love it because everything does always work out. So
Mm.
yeah, so when you go into that space, and I do it with my life as well, but I can apply it to my business. My business is exactly what I wanted it to be, is to be
Yes,
light and joy and fun and everything else, because I'm doing it when I feel like it and when it feels right.
that's brilliant. And everything always works out because you have that way of being. Your way of
Yeah.
being isn't, I'm a victim to anything. I'm not saying you're a victim, but you're not a victim to anything. You're not a victim to
Mm.
COVID coming at you. You're not a victim to what you're hearing on television. What a client is saying to you, not being a victim to your own points of views about yourself. And people
Yeah.
don't like to hear that word, but what happens is we can become victims to that, and we're like at the effect of it. And that's because we've been trained that way. We've been trained that way, to be in the cause and effect of what's coming at us, rather than, if I just receive this and acknowledge this is here right now, what feels right for me? The heavy light. Does it feel really light to get on the phone now, or does it feel really heavy? Or does it feel really
Mm.
light with what that person is saying about that thing, or does that not resonate with me? And it doesn't matter what resonates with you, as long as it resonates with you, like, it doesn't matter to
Yeah,
someone else what's right for
yeah,
you. And
yeah,
when that
yeah,
space is flow, right? You're never pushing and you're never forcing, because it's always what's right and light.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's exciting. And I guess the one thing with me is like, oh, I just want everyone to know this. I just want everyone to live this
I
kind
know.
of way.
So do I.
It's like just
Yeah,
like
same.
you'll have
Like,
way more
woo!
fun. I
Yeah.
know, it's just like everyone, but the little bit, and just with close friends around me that know me, they say, "Gosh, I've got a Christian friend around me that says sometimes I question my like not against
I lost
mine,
you.
but what's that? Did you hear me? Oh,
Just something about she questions her faith, was it?
oh, yeah. She just said the faith that I have, that everything's okay. Everything always works out. You have stuff, contrasts and things coming up and go, oh, that's
We all do.
interesting. How does it get better than that?
Yeah.
But I love the questions, because I'll do that straight away now. I'll just go,
Mm.
all right, what am I going to do with this? And it's not what am I going to do? It is like, all right, then let's ask the questions, and somehow something will come up, and it's, and it all works out, and
Yeah.
everything always does. And I think if I start to do a little bit of worry, I'm going, oh, that's that fear thing. And if you do worry, then it's always about something that hasn't happened,
That's right.
you know. So I can kind of go, okay, if I'm worrying, then I'm just thinking that something's going to happen. Who says it's going to happen? So I'll ask a question towards that now and go, all right,
Yeah.
how does it get better than this? So the tools, yeah, are massive. They yeah, like I say,
And I
life
think
changing.
we always have stuff coming. We all do. We're parents,
Oh,
we're, we're daughters, we're sisters, we've got friends. There's always something, right? We're living in the strange times at the moment. However, when you know you're in what's right for you and it feels light, and I can come back to these tools. I don't have to go online and spend an hour reading about it. I don't have to find that tool somewhere else. Or I don't have to plug something in. Here it is. It's really simple,
mm,
easy, pragmatic, and it works with neuroscience. So you're working with how the brain works rather than against it. And lots of tools you and I
yeah,
were taught work with the brain. They make the brain go into polarity, and they make the brain fight back. So we need
yeah,
tools that don't have angry at the brain or judging the brain, but actually working with our brains and with our bodies, and then with the energies of what they call the quantum field. So what we're doing, you and I, is we're accessing what's possible for everybody, because we're no longer doing that. If I do something, I'll have something, then I'll be something. And we're being
yeah,
now,
yeah,
being joy,
yeah,
we're being at ease, and then what happens is you act out of it, right? You act out of that being, and then you have it already. You already have
yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
all there. Where
It
before you and
is.
I
It's,
and me
yeah,
was trying to do it to get it, but actually now
yeah,
I just be it, and the stuff goes up with ease.
yeah. Exactly. And that's what I used to be just so goal focused. Is like, when I get to this, then I'm going to be happy. It's like, no, actually, I'm happy right
Yeah,
now. It's awesome. And if I
yeah,
get to there, that's a bonus. If I don't, does it really matter? No. So, and I think probably just the last few months, and from watching you, and also with what how you've up leveled with some, especially with what's going on in the world right now. So it's like,
yeah,
okay, because I used to, sometimes feel frustration and just go, oh, like I'd hear my mother talk, because she watches the news, like that's what she watches. And so she'd be talking and I'd be going, oh, if only you knew. Like in my head, I'm going, if only you actually knew the truth, and kind of going into all this. And now I've just kind of got to that stage where I go, all right, I'll tell mum, how what I think. But if she thinks like that, it's okay. now. I can actually go, I was pissed off and frustrated sometimes. I just think, how can you not see what's going on? And I'll go into this thing, and now I'm just going, okay, I've just, really made the decision to just go, right, that's what you see, that's what you believe. Who am I to question what you believe? That's your thoughts. That's okay. Staying on my, of course, I'll stay, everyone has their own opinions, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's like,
what we call allowance. Allowance, right? That's allowance. That's true.
Yeah.
So, interesting what you said about your mum. She does see through her own lenses, and technically, it's not our eyes. Our eyes don't see. It's our brains. The information's upside down in our eye. It's taken to the brain. So she's taking her thing to the brain, to a subconscious pattern, which sends that message back like, this is bad, this is wrong, this is right, this is whatever, right? And then you're seeing it through your lens, but sends it back like, okay, well, I don't necessarily agree maybe what's got going on. However, I can have allowance for that or whatever, but they are coming from their lens. Nothing wrong. And you can see that now, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful. And, it keeps you staying truly to you, your own being, when you can be like that, rather than just trying to fix everything around you. So, and it's the old return, if someone's a bit too, quite forceful and just wants to get into an argument. So now it's just like, oh, yeah, it's an interesting point of view. Just send that back, And I think when you start using these tools and the way you are, people really don't question you much because they know how strong you are inside, even if you don't say anything. It's interesting because when you are confident within yourself and you know yourself better than you've ever known it, then it's different how people speak to you too, because they know there's this, like I just feel like there's like an armor sometimes around me that's like, you can, like they don't try and switch you. No, because they know how you're pretty strong. You're pretty So
and it's about that. This what they're sensing about you is that you're confident in whatever you know and what you're choosing for your life, right? That confidence you have, that self-trust you have. So they can disagree with you, and everyone can. It's okay. But arguing for something is one of the least powerful things we can do anyway. And fighting and raging and being anti whatever it is doesn't actually work, and you and I know that. But you can have your own point of view and be clear and be calm and grateful for that and peaceful with it.
And be an example.
And that's an amazing way to be, isn't it?
Yeah. And
because I know,
and you see your kids watching you too. It's so interesting, it's really interesting. It's like my daughter will say something to me and she'll go, what do you think about this, or whatever it is, and just being really calm. Like there's not much that makes me like fly off the handle now like I used to before. It's just like I can look at things and go, oh yeah, I can, just ask questions around it if it's something that's quite it's
a great place to be, is because children, if we can show them that we can be calm, and as science proves, when you're calm and in homeostasis, you create more and you have more ease, and you're not in flight and fright, which is a lot of the planet is right now, and I get it. If they don't have these, have other tools that are supporting them, they will be in fright and flight. I understand that. So if you're not in flight, you can actually create an amazing future right now, bring it in right now. But if we're coming from the hormone flight, we're just bringing more stress, more fear, more anger, more rage in. So for you and I right now, regardless of what's going on, we can sit in this calm space and be peaceful and know that the abundance is still there, resources are still there. We've got gratitude for us and our lives and the people around us. And you and I both have beautiful people that are contributing to us. So, and I want to just take that time and acknowledge you for that, who you are for me, Cows. You're a huge contribution. I adore you. You're one of the most generous people I know. Clever woman and amazing businesswoman. So thank you so much for what you've given me. Honestly.
Oh, it's both ways.
It's a two-way street.
Thank you.
It's a two-way street, honestly. Really. So I just want to thank anyone who's been on here, and thank you for your words and thank you for sharing your life with us today. And yeah, and this is what is possible when we get out of the old paradigms that we're trained in. This is what is
Yeah,
possible when you're not in your brain, when you're not operating out of fright and flight, and this is right and this is wrong. This is what is possible if we're in question and possibility rather than conclusion and judgment. And you've
yeah.
become an example of that, a shining light of that. And gee, I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, Han. Yeah, yeah. I can say exactly the same back to you.
Yeah, wow.
It's been an incredible journey, and you know, it just makes you see life in just such a different way, and it's fun. It's, you know, right here, right now. I just think, oh, it's just so neat because once you learn this, everyone right here, right now can just change or go
Yeah,
into, you know, where they really meant to be.
yeah,
It's pretty
yeah.
special. Yeah, I think you're an incredible person, Lisa. What, you know, the
Thank
skills that you've, yeah, that you've learned along the way, and the tools and the way that you teach them and the way that you live them. And I would say from all the coaches, all the mentors that I've had, I'm just like, I watch you daily. You know, something comes up and the way that you address it, and it's just for me, I'm learning continuously because I'm just like, wow, you know, that's awesome. So yeah, you totally 100% authentic and live your tools.
thank
It's
you.
cool.
Thank you so much. And I wouldn't go to a coach that didn't, like it's that authenticity is
But you
so
don't know. I mean,
no,
we can say that, and
yes,
you know, it's really interesting. I was gifted a $6,500 course by
yes,
a coach, and I thought, wow, this guy, amazing. Wow, interesting. Some things that he did and said, I was like, after a while, I'm like, you are not the person that you portray yourself to be. And I just, I pulled out of the course. People were like, what? That was a 6.5. I was like, doesn't align with where, you
uh,
know, I do that. So it's like, I just love now that, yeah, I've got a very certain, who's in my life and who isn't really, and but still kindness towards those people. And I said
yep.
it kindly. I'll always do kind. I
Oh,
don't care who it
I
is.
know.
Always. You know
I
who I am.
one
So,
of the
but I'll choose who I spend the time with because, yeah, it's really important who you surround yourself with.
I agree, and that
Mm.
actually lifts the vibration of you or your capacity. And we're trying to get the lid off, aren't we? We want the fleas, that had the lid on the jar. They take the lid off, and they're still jumping up to the lid of the jar. But we're actually wanting people in our lives to expand and have greater possibilities and greater receiving and gifting. And
Mm.
yeah, and you're shining a light for that, cows, and your family with your friends and business. So well done, you. So yeah, thanks for being on. I look forward to more joy and more fun with you and more adventures. And anyone else, get on board, guys. Come on in and join this train of possibility because it's like a bullet train. When you get on it, it's like the Japanese bullet train. Your life will switch around pretty fast. Like I hit
Mm.
goals and I was in some pretty tricky times and I took longer than what my clients are. It's like boom, 2 or 3 weeks, people are seeing big changes. By 3 months,
Mm.
massive changes. So get on in
Yeah.
and let's have some fun together and let's change the way we look at the planet. Let's change the way we look at ourselves by bringing self gratitude in and self joy and lifting what's around us. So, yeah, hey, thanks so much. Thanks for being on here, everyone. Don't really have time for questions. I do have to go. So, but yeah, I'll answer questions any other time and take care. Thanks, cows. Love ya.
Okay. Love you too. Bye.
See ya. Thank you. Bye.